especially people that I know. Thank you all for coming. I'll try to make this interesting and fun. So, as Val mentioned, I was a student here, and when I arrived here, I was about 38, and I was a single mom, and Casper College for me was a bit of a reintroduction to a normal adult life, even though a lot of the students were young. When I was growing up, I did a lot of drawing, a little bit of painting, but as soon as I was out of high school, it just, all sorts of reasons, I didn't pursue it. And when I came to Casper College, as a single mom, I thought it would be a good idea to be an elementary ed teacher because I had young kids and my schedule would fit their schedule. So I started in that program, and when it came time that I needed to satisfy my fine art credit, I took drawing. And some of you remember Richard Jacoby, and he was my drawing instructor. And I walked in that room, and I hadn't drawn or done any of that for 20 years, and I didn't know if I could still draw. I really had no idea. And the benches were weird. I don't know if you guys have those weird benches. They're like horses, as they call them, or something. Anyways, it was awkward, but by the time I'd been there like only a few hours, it was like, oh, I have come home. And before that semester was over, Richard, called me up and talked about what I was doing and asked me why I was majoring in elementary ed and not fine art. And it didn't take more than probably a 5-minute conversation with him to change my mind, and I changed my major. So I've done all the classes. I was terrible at ceramics, absolutely terrible. Drawing and painting really were the two things that I was pretty good at. I remember, so when I was putting up this show and seeing some of the art students here, and I was just thinking about what it was like in the old building, which was really small, and coming in here, and my last semester, Richard wanted me to do a special project, which was kind of like, I don't know if you still have those, but you can decide with your instructor what you're going to do for that special project. So I told him I wanted to paint some paintings, and he said, okay, I want you to do 10 8x10 paintings for this semester. And I thought at the time, like, oh, how am I gonna do 8 or 10 paintings? I can't believe he wants me to do 10 paintings in 4 months or whatever it was. It seemed like a huge amount of work. And it kind of was at that time, but when I look back at that, it was like a smidgen of what you are able to do the more you do it. So it took me a few years after graduating, so that was it'd be 29 years ago in May that I graduated from here, which seems crazy. And it seems crazy to me that for almost that whole time I've been painting. I didn't really start painting till about 2000. And part of that is because I had a painting buddy, and that makes a big difference. But I'm not really one for longevity about doing things, so when I look back and realize that I've been at this for that many years, all you art students, I just want to encourage you to keep going. Just keep doing some kind of art. Yeah, and you'll get to be 70 and say, holy cow, I can't believe I've been doing this for you, it might be 50 years, because you're starting younger. So landscapes, all the paintings in this show are landscapes. Some of you know that I paint cows too. I just love cows. they have such personality in their faces. But this show is about landscapes, and it's taken me a long time to figure out why I like to paint landscapes. I mean, I think they're beautiful, but I love to be outside, and I love to be outside painting. And for me, outside painting is the thing that just absolutely is an escape from everything else. So everything is gone when I'm outside painting. And it's restorative to me. It's refreshing. It reminds me that I'm just part of the creation, and there's a wonderful, good creator, and it helps me remember I don't have to control anything except myself. That might seem weird, but that's what happens to me when I'm outside. Walking is good, hiking is good, but painting outside is the best. So when I'm out there doing that, and I'm pretty oblivious. I mean, sometimes cows come up and look at what I'm doing, sometimes not, but I'm just oblivious to everything else that could be happening in the world. And that's kind of what I'm trying to get in my paintings. I want it to look like the place, but I want it to feel the way I felt when I was there. And most of the time, I take those back to the studio, and a lot of times I don't do anything else with them. I've got stacks of plein air paintings. But sometimes there'll be one or two that I might decide I want to develop into a bigger painting. And so I'll use my study, and I'll use little value sketches, which if you look out in the gallery, you'll see some examples of those, to explore what I might do differently, because usually a plein air painting I'm not necessarily trying to make a good painting, I'm trying to capture the feel of the place, so it needs some changes. So exploring with the little value studies is my first step after either using a photo or a plein air painting. And I'll do maybe 4 or 5 or 6 of those, and then whichever one I like the most. If I'm being really disciplined, I'll do a couple little color studies of those. And I'm talking little, like 2 by 3 inches. Just exploring, do I want to use this color palette, or do I want it, do I want to be kind of towards red or towards yellow? How warm do I want it to look? And then I'll choose my favorite of those, and then maybe do an 8 by 10 or a 9 by 12 oil painting study. That's a minor, but anyways, and then from that, I go to a bigger canvas, which all those little steps before that bigger canvas, I'm working out my possible problems, and it's so much easier to work in a little tiny thing, moving things around or trying different colors before you're committed on a big canvas. That's that process, and this show came about because a few years back, I don't know, maybe it was probably 5 years ago or so by now, maybe more, I went to an Art 321 yard sale, and there was this painting outside the building on an easel, no price, along with some other stuff, and I walked by it and I thought, wow, that's pretty good. I went in and I looked around and I came back out and I looked at that painting and I thought, man, that really is pretty good. And I went back in and then I came back out and I thought, okay, I couldn't read the signature. I had no idea who did it. And I thought, I don't know if a professional artist did this, somebody who's well known, or an amateur, but whoever did it, they knew what they were doing. So I bought that painting and I brought it home. And there was a little pencil signature, but I could not read it. I guessed at what it was and I tried to Google the names that I thought it was, and nothing came up. And then I don't know, 3 years ago maybe, I got a Casper College alumni magazine in the mail, and I was flipping through it, and I saw this painting of a landscape. It didn't look like mine, but I thought, I think that's the person that painted my painting. And I read the article, and it turned out to be Earl Reed, who also happened to be the first art instructor here. And I did not ever know him or meet him. I think he died the year I came to Wyoming, but I love that painting, and it hangs in my dining room, except that it's out there right now. And I would just sit there and study that painting every time I ate a meal. So that was pretty often. And just trying to see his thought process and the way he went about designing that painting, composing that painting, his colors. At one point I made a color chart from that painting because I could guess at what he used, but until I actually did that, and I don't even know if I was right, but I at least matched the colors that he had in that painting. So I talked to Val and told her I have a painting by Earl Reed. Do you want to see it? So I brought it up here and showed her, and she showed me some other of his paintings, and then she told me that there was going to be a new visual arts building built, and that they were going to have a show of Earl Reed's work sometime after that got done. So I thought, maybe I could have a show at the same time. And so it kind of got in the works a couple of years ago. And we kind of brainstormed about it this last year, and that's how this show came about in conjunction with his show. I don't guess they're coincidences, but I like that he was the first instructor here, and he's instructing me still through that painting in my dining room, and that I graduated from here, and that it changed my life coming here, and I just love that connection. So one of the things, this is not really related to this show, but Val and I were talking about it before we started. And this is kind of really for the students or other artists that are here. I wanted to tell you about the time I got burnt out, because I didn't even know there was such a thing. Now we kind of all know about burnout, but I didn't know about it. And it was about 15 or so years ago. And I had decided I wanted to sell paintings on eBay, because I read this article about selling paintings on eBay. And so I did everything that article said, and I sold every single painting that I listed. But that was a lot of paintings. It was 5 paintings a week. It was crazy. And it was great until it wasn't great. And I woke up one day literally woke up one day and said, I can't paint. Why do I think I can paint? Who am I kidding? I cannot paint. I mean, I was like, I can never do this again. It wasn't even that I didn't want to do it. It was that I didn't think I could do it, like I wasn't capable of doing it. I wasn't a good painter. I didn't have any ability. Who was I kidding? All kinds of crazy stuff. So I started a menu planning business instead, which was a blast for about 3 months. Got to design a website and try out meals and menus and make the whole thing look pretty and functional and all kinds of stuff. And I don't know, launched it in December. and January I woke up one day and said, oh my God, I don't want to do this the rest of my life. I need to paint. So what I didn't realize was I had not given myself any rest at all in years, but especially in that 1.5 years that I did eBay. Now I know when I start to feel that way, it's time to take a break. It doesn't have to be a long break. It doesn't have to be a 3-month break if you do it early enough. Maybe it's a week or 2 or whatever. So that is just a little, I don't know, tidbit of don't get burned out or take a break. You're continually giving. When you're creating art, you're always giving out of your soul. And if you don't get filled back up, pretty soon you don't have anything to give. So just remember that. When you feel tired, take a nap, take a walk, go find a friend and have a cup of coffee or whatever it is that you do. And now, I don't have anything else to say. So